All right, Colson Brunner, long snapper at Washington State. Thanks for hopping on. I know we've been trying to get you on for some time now. Met you on the sidelines at the spring game. Thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, of course. Happy to be here.
So the big question that everyone wants to know is how do you snap a perfect spiral?
It's really it's more technical than it really is anything. The way I would teach somebody is that you just grip the football with your dominant hand, like how you throw a spiral. And then you place your left hand. So let's say you have laces here. Here's your right hand on the laces, whatever your dominant hand is. Then you just place your opposite hand. So for me, my left hand, just anywhere on the backside of the ball, whatever feels comfortable. And then when you go to actually snap the spiral or whatever, when you finish, you come through, think about throwing your fists back at the punter, kind of making this outward kind of position. I had a long snapping coach call it the barrel. So imagining like a gun barrel, wherever this points where the ball is going to go, where the bullet's going to go. So those are probably the two easiest cues is hold it like you're going to throw a spiral, put the left hand on there wherever's comfortable, and then just finish. And it should be just perfect every single time. It's super simple.
And, snapping it for a field goal compared to a punt, what's the main difference there other than trajectory? Is it the exact same thing?
It's not necessarily trajectory. Obviously on field goal, you need to be more precise than on punt. There's a little more wiggle room on punt to miss. On field goal, you have to be pretty dialed, especially with locations, because you don't want the holder to reach the ball and get it on the ground or reach up above their head. It just throws off the time of the operation. But the biggest difference between field goal and punt is that on field goals, I don't know if you've ever seen Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, but laces out. Long snappers control that. So we can figure out ways to grip the football on a certain panel of the ball, either holding laces or away or something, to snap it so it has the perfect amount of rotations to where it catches or it hits the holders in the hands and it just puts it down. The laces already pointed out. Shout out Ray Finkel. So yeah, field goals are definitely more of the perfection thing. Punt, it's just a little more relaxed, not effort-wise, but location-wise. Obviously, we want to snap a good ball right on the hip or right down the middle of the numbers, belly button area. But no, definitely field goal is a lot more spot-on, dialed, and just makes everybody's life better for the holder and the kicker.
Absolutely. Yeah, I appreciate the insight there. Let's get into a bit of your story. So you grew up in Central Washington, actually. So you're a local. You ended up going to Central Washington, and then you went to Oregon, and then over to the Palouse at Washington State. So let's start by walking through your story growing up. What sports did you play growing up? What sports did you play in high school? And how did you start practicing long snapping?
Yeah. So grew up, born and raised Cashmere, Washington, small town, smack dab middle of the state. Really tight-knit, blue-collar agricultural community. And I love where I'm from. I literally talk about Cashmere or where I'm from probably every single day. I'm just really happy to be, from Cashmere. And for sports, growing up, definitely lean more towards football and baseball. I played basketball for a little bit. I was terrible, just not good. Actually shot my free throws granny shot style. It was C team freshman year. I didn't really care how good I looked playing the game, and I can make my free throws better if I shot it like a grandma.
So I did that.
Oh yeah, I was lethal from the free throw line, in between my legs, obviously. And then later on in high school, I actually was on the cheer team as a stunt guy. So I wasn't a cheerleader. I didn't have the pom-poms. I threw people in the air and I caught them. I just tell people I was, throwing people, catching people, and saving their lives. So I got into that. I really, really enjoyed it. It's a good time. My mom was the cheer coach too, so it's kind of a little bit of an influence. But so long snapping kind of came into play probably later on in middle school, early high school. I was a center growing up for a really long time. I played center all the way throughout middle school and early on in high school. And then once I found out that, I was going to top out about 6'1" and maybe not 6'4", 6'5", I wasn't going to play, big time college football at this size. And I was like, well, I got to, figure something else out. I want to play big time college football. And so then I was like, I'll put my head between my legs and throw footballs between my legs. It's kind of a fun gig. So got into it seriously my sophomore year. Started going to camps with like a guy like Chris Rubio. He's actually based out of Lewiston, long snapping coach. He's like the guru of long snapping. Started going to him, going to camps, getting exposure. And then out of high school, I had a couple of like walk-on offers at Division I schools, but nothing really made a whole lot of sense. So I ended up committing and signing with Central Washington. Played there for 2 years, started every game, got a handful of accolades, and decided after some like conversations with my family that, you know, like my dream was to always go play in front of like a big crowd underneath like, you know, stadium lights, all this stuff. Like that's what I've always wanted. So I entered the portal and went to the University of Oregon, spent a year there, actually took my red shirt during that season. So I only appeared in a couple of games, which Oregon is obviously a very interesting experience. That is like probably the like one of the bigger time programs on the West Coast. And that was definitely eye-opening going from a Division II in Ellensburg, Washington to, you know, like the Nike Mecca University of the world. So definitely took a lot of time to getting adjusted to, but I enjoyed my time there. Still have a lot of really good friends, really good connections with the people I knew at Oregon. But after the season, I kind of wanted to just move closer to home. So I decided, you know, enter the portal after the bowl game at Oregon, and Wazoo literally called me like 20 to 30 minutes after I entered the portal and had a conversation. It was literally, they were the only school I talked to. I knew I wanted to go to Washington State. I grew up a Coug. This is where I wanted to be. Unfortunately, it didn't work out in high school, but, you know, I was happy to land here now. And so been here for now the last year and a half. I graduated probably about a month ago in May with my bachelor's. Thank you. And then I'll be starting my master's in education like this upcoming fall while finishing my last year of eligibility for football. So that's kind of like the real bare bones, you know, hit the spots, dot the I's type of like story of, you know, of my life. Yeah. So yeah.
Awesome. A lot to get into there. So from what I saw out of high school, you were the top long snapper in the state and you were 22nd rated overall in the country. Mm-hmm. So I guess at what point did you start to realize that, hey, you were kind of at the top of the game from the long snapper standpoint? And I'm kind of curious. So there wasn't other big universities that were reaching out to you for that?
Yeah. So this is actually a really funny story. I'm going to touch on like the university thing first. So I had a couple offers from like some Division IIIs. Like I had the Whitworth, UPS, PLU, like those schools. Then I started talking to Central kind of like November of what would be like my senior year. I ended up signing on like the National Signing Day. I think it's January, February, whenever it is. And like before that date, I was actually talking to, you know, the wrong Division I team in Washington. I know. I was talking to the purple team. It was,
hey, you didn't go there.
Thank goodness didn't go there. I would have hated it. Not my biggest. I'm not the biggest fan of UW. So I was actually talking to them for about 2 to 3 weeks prior to signing to Central, and then about 3 or 4 days before actual signing day, the coach I was speaking to at UW took a different job, and so he left. And I was like, all right, well, you know, they're off the board. He never got the chance to offer me. Not a big deal, whatever. So then signed to Central. Let's say it's like on a Monday. Wednesday afternoon, I get a text message from the new special teams coordinator at University of Washington asking if I could hop on a phone call. I was like, yeah, sure. I can do that. Yeah. And so I remember it super vividly because I got the text message while I was lifting in my garage. Cause this is all during like COVID. Gyms were all like shut down. I was literally working out where my mom parks her car.
Yeah.
And so I'm lifting in there. I hop on the call with, I think it was like 2 staffs ago at UW. Hop on the call with the special teams coordinator. He knew like my name, he knew where I was from, and that was about it. He just knew I could throw a football between my legs. He just needed a snapper, and I was, you know, recommended by, you know, so-and-so, whoever. So then he offered me a preferred walk-on, and, you know, I thanked him for it, was really appreciative, but I was like, hey, like I signed to Central on Monday. And he's like, oh, you signed? I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, well, I guess you're out of this deal then, huh? I was like, I mean, yeah, I guess. Like I signed the dotted line. Like everything's, you know, finalized at this point. And so that kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
That just kind of started my hatred for UW. Hate is a really strong word, but I vividly dislike the University of Washington. I don't like Seattle. I don't like their colors. Their live mascot isn't even a husky. It's an Alaska Malamute. It's an absolute joke. So, but yeah, and so that was kind of like kind of the bigger of the offers that I got out of high school. But I ended up going to Central. Loved my time there. Loved the people in Ellensburg. Every time I go home now, I go visit some buddies in Ellensburg just to go say hi and do all that stuff. So really glad about my journey. It's been a little interesting, bunch of different twists and turns, but it's been good. It was good.
That H word is allowed against that certain school. That's totally fine.
Well, good. I'm glad we're in agreement about that.
Yeah. So you're going to Central, and then at one point you end up playing 2 years there, 10 games. Your first year, 8 games. Your second year. At what point did the University of Oregon start reaching out?
It was so after my freshman year. Just sort of take that back. My freshman year at Central, I had our offensive coordinator name was Coach Tinker, who after the season he took a job as the special teams assistant at the University of Oregon. So he was my into Oregon. So after my sophomore year at Central, we didn't make the playoffs, and so then I hopped in the portal November. And I just reached out to Coach Tank because obviously he was in the special teams world. And, I'm just trying to I knew a couple of coaches kind of in the industry at that point, but he was still one of those guys who I had a connection with. So I texted him, and then we hopped on a FaceTime call or something that night. And towards the end of it, he was like, yeah, actually we're looking for somebody. And I was like, oh, Oregon needs a snapper. Cool. Okay. Well, I have I have Coach Tink. We'll see what happens. So the ball kind of started rolling with Oregon pretty early on, that November when I first entered the portal from Central. And it just kind of kept snowballing. I got an offer from Eastern Washington and then the University of Hawaii. And both of those were, I'm obviously going to be appreciative of every offer, every, kind of reassurance that, yeah, I am wanted out of the portal. That's always nice. And so then Oregon kind of came around, and it was okay, they're going to offer me. And I wasn't really hearing from anybody else I really had eyes on. And so then they finally offered me. I committed on the spot, and I was, done deal. Everything's good to go. And then this is kind of the funny part. This is a little ironic. About 2 weeks before I report to Oregon, so I got there early April, I want to say of I think it's 2023. I get a random text message from a phone number I don't recognize, and it's Nick Whitworth, the special teams coordinator at Washington State. I was like, no, not right now. Are you kidding me? I wanted to go to Wazoo out of high school. They didn't contact me initially when I was in the portal, and then I commit to Oregon, and a couple weeks later, Whitworth reached out, and we talked on the phone, had a good conversation, and he offered me a preferred walk-on here. And obviously, same thing, super appreciative. And I was just really bummed out at that point because I was Wazoo, that's one of my schools. That's where I would love to go. But it just didn't work out that time. I already, was enrolled in classes. I was I had signed a lease in Eugene. It was just too late for me to get out of that deal to come to WSU. And looking back on it, I would, love to say I would have liked to come to Wazoo initially and just been here after my 2 years at Central. But, it's all part of God's plan. And it's just what happened to me. And I'm here now and I'm happy. So
I do have to ask, you show up to campus in Eugene. It is Nike University. I mean, what is that experience like? Do you get 10 pairs of shoes and jackets and cleats and all this stuff?
Yeah. So it's pretty ridiculous. At my mom's house back home in Kashmir, we have a spare bedroom upstairs, and we just call it the Oregon Shrine because all of my Oregon clothes that I've gotten from my time when I was there just sit there now because I'm not going to wear them anymore. I mean, I could sell them. Yeah, I could sell them. I could do, throw them away or something, but I don't know, I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to that sort of thing. So I'm going to keep everything. But first day I showed up, I had a big black, hefty, garbage bag just full of clothes. And it wasn't even just your workout clothes. It's just t-shirts and shorts and sweats and sweatshirts and just filled to the brim. And that was automatically eye-opening because at Central, you get 2 workout t-shirts, 2 workout pairs of shorts, and a sweatshirt, and that's your gear drop for the entire year. And so that was nuts. And then the other thing that kind of was eye-opening about like the Nike and the gears, whatever, was I pretty much got a new pair of cleats for every single game,
Man,
which is bonkers. Like there's really no need,
because
but
they have totally different color schemes for every game.
Exactly. Yeah, like I was wearing like all yellow, all green cleats. You know, there's a green and yellow cleat. There's like a green and black cleat. There's a white and yellow, and you do all these things, and then you just pile them up. So again, those are all sitting upstairs in my mom's house collecting dust because I'm not going to wear a lime green cleat now. So they can just sit there, and I don't know, maybe someday they could be mounted up on like my man cave or something. Like, oh yeah, remember that when I played at Oregon? Cool. But yeah, it's ridiculous, and it's all a little flashy. It's kind of it gets the attention, but I mean, if you have those Nike assets, I guess you can use them. So.
Yeah, and then you suited up for you played in 2 games at Oregon.
Yeah.
What games did you play in? And then what was it like to suit up against Washington State?
Yeah. So on my bio for Washington State, it says I played against Portland State and Colorado. I only played against Portland State. I had 2 snaps against Portland State. I will say they were perfect. They were really good snaps, but I literally the rest of the year I just redshirted and I was just kind of there, just like another person on the sideline. Nothing crazy, but anyways, going up against Washington State was really interesting. It kind of felt like I was like an outsider inside of Oregon's locker room because I was almost like, okay, like I play for Oregon, but like I wouldn't be too upset like if we lost today. Like that would be kind of cool. And obviously, like that was the year where like when Cam Ward was here, before he went to Miami, and Washington State had a really good team. And I mean, like at Oregon, we prepared for the entire week. Like we were preparing for, every single other opponent, and almost felt like there was more pressure to it because Wazoo had those dudes from that 2020, 2023 team. And it was definitely a little funky. Obviously my mom, my sister, then my sister's boyfriend were at the game. My mom and my sister were wearing Oregon clothes. My sister's boyfriend was wearing Washington State clothes. And so it was almost like a family divided, but deep down, like, we were all kooks at heart. Like my sister and my sister's boyfriend graduated from here. My dad graduated from here. And so then my mom, obviously has to be a kook fan. So it was definitely strange. And I had buddies that like went here, and a lot of guys that like in the stands that were, were students at WSU, and they came down to the game in Eugene. And I was like, I'm kind of like missing out right now. Like, and it was kind of around that time where I was like, you know what, like Oregon might not be like my long term. Like this isn't really for me. And so I would say that like that game was kind of like what, pushed me forward to like entering the portal and trying to find a different place. And it just so happened that Washington State needed a guy. And so I, came here. So finally had that full circle moment, from, playing against them to then joining and being here. So.
Yeah, what was that process of finally, getting the opportunity at Washington State, and then you head over in 2024, you didn't appear, and now this is heading into your senior year.
Yeah, so once I got here, they brought in another long snapper at the same time. They brought him Durham Harris, who's great snapper. He's a good guy. Like I have like zero grudges against any of it. Like I totally understand college football is a business. Best guy's gonna play. Like you bring in competition, whoever wins. And I just didn't win last year. So like I didn't appear in a game, but still, traveled every game, still had the experience of, like warming up on the sidelines. And actually, very fun fact, I was our emergency holder for like half of the season.
Okay.
So there was a couple of times where like there's a game against Texas Tech where John kind of got hit a little funny, and I got yelled at on the sidelines to like start getting my hands ready to hold. Get going. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I was, I can hold. I have great hands, but I want to snap the ball. So I never even like got into the game to actually hold, but I was ready, stay ready. But I still had, a really fun time last year. Very like grateful for the last staff. Obviously going to be a little butthurt about the way things ended, which was obviously really strange. That whole ordeal was just like, I mean, I wouldn't even imagined that would have happened, and the way that it worked out too was blindsiding, but it's a business, it's college football, so I understand it. But yeah.
Yeah, so you get to Washington State. As you mentioned, you were, kind of watching on the sidelines that year. I guess walk us through what that was like to have the new staff come in. First off, the departure, and then the new staff coming in.
Yeah, so the departure was really funky because I mean we were seeing stuff on social media. Like I remember there was a tweet before like Dicker officially left that there was like a private jet going from Pullman to Winston-Salem. And so like, that's not an ordinary flight. Pullman already doesn't have a ton of flights going in and out of like Pullman's airport. So there's not going to be a flight commercially going to, Winston-Salem. So that all was like happening. And then obviously that was in the middle of bowl prep. And so I was texting my mom about it that night. And I was like, hey, like, are you seeing all this stuff like online? Like, I think we're losing our head coach. My mom was like, yeah, like, did you see like the flight tracker? We were talking about it. And then I wake up the next morning and I get like an ESPN notification, like Jake Dicker accepts job at Wake Forest. And I was like, we don't
That
have
was
a
first thing in the
head
morning
coach.
before anyone is
Yeah.
able to get together.
No, it was crazy. And so then we all like came in for like a team meeting that was really interesting. I don't want to get into it because that's kind of like it's like a us thing, but obviously a very strange scenario. And then once we actually like got to the bowl game, I mean, in the back of your head, like the coaches that you've spent the last year with, you're not going to see them after this end of this week, right? So after the bowl game, there was a couple different flights, so guys could like fly home to their hometowns. Or I just flew back to Pullman because I live 3.5 hours away from here, so I flew back to Pullman on the team chartered plane, and then all the coaches were there too. And I remember we landed in Pullman, we were sitting on the buses, and I was kind of looking around. And I was like, "There's a good chance I won't see these like people who I've spent so much time around with the last year, maybe like ever again, or at least not in a very long time." And so that's kind of like a bittersweet moment. It's a lot of unknown. And then obviously everything, blew up like the next day or two. Everybody got their jobs, everybody left. And then Rogers and his staff came in, and that transition was honestly like the smoothest you could have expected it. And it was like I knew we were looking for like a head coach like while we were in San Diego for the game, and there was obviously all like the information being spread around Twitter about who it could be, throwing out names, throwing out scenarios, what have you. But once we actually like found out about it, it was like seamless. Like it was announced that, okay, like Rogers is going to be our head coach. Awesome. Great. Next day on the phone with Coach Cashmore, my special teams coordinator, good conversation, like just get the ball rolling. And then coming back to Pullman, I think it was like January 6th or January 7th. It was like just like walking into like, it was just like walking back into the facilities, and like, yeah, there's new faces, but they were so welcoming, just like open armed, and like everybody was very helpful, very nice. Everybody just treated everybody like with respect. And it's been great, honestly. Like I have no complaints. All the coaches are great. Strength staff's awesome. And it's still like WSU at the core. Now we just have a couple new faces leading the way. So
yeah. And spring ball is wrapped up. We're headed into the summer now. As you mentioned, you just graduated. So what was that spring experience? What are your plans for this summer? And then, what are you looking forward to heading into the fall?
Yeah. So obviously this spring was, it's just a standard spring ball, quite frankly. There's going to be a little different variations between staffs from my experience, because obviously I've been a part of, 4 different coaching staffs now in 3 schools. So I felt pretty comfortable during the whole situation. And the only thing I didn't like was that I had to be out in the field at like 4:30 in the morning on some practice days. That's always tough. Nothing that black coffee can't get you through. So, but no, spring was great. I really like how we like set up the practices and do all that stuff. It's really enjoyable. And then obviously just capping it all off with the spring game. Obviously meeting you at the game. That was pretty sweet. And then like just 2 weeks later, graduating and getting my degree. It's just a really fun moment. I was happy to have a bunch of family at all those events, whether it was the spring game or even like our Spokane open practice. I had like 10 family members in the stands. It was ridiculous. So it's definitely a fun time, because now like during the summer, I don't have to take summer school right now. My master's doesn't start until August. So nice. I'm kind of just hanging out, obviously doing, training and, snapping footballs and doing all that stuff. And then a lot of golf in the free time, just because that's all that we really do here in the summers. We have a big group of guys that go golfing out on Palouse Ridge, and I mean, I think I've played like 5 days a week since I've been back in Pullman. So
Really?
just a ridiculous amount of golf. And it's, I mean, we have a big group of guys that all go, like Kyle Martin, Jackson Potter, Keith Brown, Ryan Harris. That's kind of like the core of the guys that go golfing consistently. And then now we're getting a couple new faces that are kind of popping out and, you know, playing a little bit. Like Jack Stevens, our new kicker, thinks he has a great swing. He can't beat me. Parker McKenna, he just goes out there and just swings as hard as he can. And, you know, sometimes the ball goes the right way and sometimes it doesn't. It's just golf. So it's, we have a lot of fun around here. And it's just been a good summer so far. I'm getting tan, golfing, doing the football. So it's a good time.
Love it. You mentioned you were headed to Lewiston to pick up some new clubs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what kind of scores are you putting out there on Palouse Ridge? I know that's a really tough course.
Yeah. So I'm going to be totally honest with you. I love Palouse Ridge. It's a tough golf course, but if you played it as many times as I've played it, it kind of gets easy. And so we play from like the ordinary people like tips. So we play from like the blues. They have the crimsons, which are like the college tees. I refuse to play there. It's ridiculously long. But around the blues, my handicap right now is down to, I think it's a 9.6, which is solid golf. Yeah, it's substantially better. And the funniest thing is that I go play back at home around like Leavenworth or Lake Wenatchee or all these courses that are kind of like these mountain courses, a lot of trees. And my handicap went from like an 11 up to a 14 back at home. And now we're back down to a 9.
Yeah.
Just because, you know, Palouse can be really forgiving if you know where to hit it. Like I can exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. You kind of just play it where you know it's going to roll out. So I play that course so much to where I show up and I'm like, okay, like number one, I'm hitting a driver. If I hit it well, it's going to roll down to the bottom of the fairway, right at this little like kind of like landing zone. I'm going to have a 54-yard pitch shot up onto the green, 2-putt. You know, you want to stay on the right side of the green because it'll funnel down to the right. You want to stay on the left side, but there's a bunker left. Like I know that course like the back of my hand. It's ridiculous, but it's really fun. It's hard though because everybody else is getting better at the same time. So like Keith Brown, he's a golfer now. It is like he picked up clubs for the first time like last summer, and now he's putting up like low 80s. I think he broke 80 for the first time like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's ridiculous. Obviously, like Kyle Martin is an absolute stick. I think he's scratch, if not a 1 handicap. And it's fun just to go watch him play because it's just like it looks so effortless. And we were playing a couple of days ago, and me and Ryan Harris were finishing up on 17. We were both playing like pretty well. Then Kmart, Jax, and Keith were like the group behind us. So we stopped on 17, met up with them on the 18th tee box and played the hole. And Kmart literally said before the hole, he's like, I don't care about this hole. Like, I'm not playing my best. I don't care. I'm just going to like see what happens. It was the most like effortless birdie I've ever seen. He hit driver like right to the middle of the fairway, probably like 305, 310. And then I think he hit like an iron to like 20 feet and then 2-putted for birdie. And it was so effortless. It just made me like, it was like degrading to myself. Like, how can you make this look so easy? Because golf is hard. And then like Jackson Potter, another like fantastic swing. He just looks like a golfer too. He's long, lengthy. He's got a lot of like long, like he's like levers. Like he can hit the ball quarter mile and everything. And we have a lot of fun out there.
You'll have to do a little vlog, all of you guys playing around together.
Yeah.
That'd be good for WSU football to film that. Is there some type of NIL for you guys to where you're able to get out on the course, maybe take a selfie out there and get your round covered?
I don't think we've ever like actually pursued it. We all just buy the summer pass for out there for the students because it's like give or take like $950 and you get to play all summer long. I mean, we're here all summer. So
if you're playing 5 days a week.
Yeah, exactly. I'm getting my money's worth already. So I don't think we've ever really looked into like an NIL thing, but all the people at Palouse Ridge are super kind, super nice. I walk in now and they already have like a key waiting out for me because they just see my name pop up on the tee time sheet and they're like, okay, Colson, Ryan, they're all coming out, whatever. So
that's awesome.
It's a really cool deal.
Couple last questions to get you out of here. There was the softball game that just took place the other week. Who set that up? Who organized that? It sounds like you were maybe the player of the game.
Yeah. So so Coach Pav set it up. I think he called it was like a Chicago ruled like softball game. So the softballs we used were like 16 inches, like they're the size of like a volleyball, maybe
Okay.
maybe a little smaller than that. We had wood bats, and we all just got split up into random teams. So my team consisted of it was like me, Bryson, Leighton was on the team, Ashton Tripp was on the team, Tuck was on the team. Sorry, I'm not naming full names because I'm just going by what I call these guys. Duggar was on our team. Oh gosh, I'm totally missing other people, but we had a good group of guys, and I'm gonna say that I put the team on my back, but I did. So first game I went 3 for 3 with 2 home runs and a single. I was really upset because the single they threw me like I'm a lefty, so they threw it like outside of the plate, like right side batter's box. And I wanted to hit Oppo so bad because I was like, I've hit 2 pulled home runs. Like I want to hit an Oppo taco now. That'd be awesome. And I just got underneath it too much, and it kind of just like squirted out in the outfield. I got a single, whatever. And then the second game we played against Keith Brown's team, which obviously it's going to be a little competitive when you got a couple of those guys like mixed together. Like if you have me and Bryson going up against the team of Keith Brown and Noah Dunham, like we're gonna be chirping a little bit. So we played like a timed game. So we had 30 minutes to play each game. And we were down. I mean, we didn't really have innings, but give or take, it was like top of 3, and we had like 10 minutes left to play. And I think we were down 2 runs. No, we were down 1 run, excuse me. And at this point, I already hit a home run. I'm pretty sure I had another single. So I was 2 for 2 with, probably a million RBIs. And I step up we get it to like top of the third, whatever. We're down by a run. Bryson gets up there, hits a solo shot. And we're like, dude, game's tied. Because the entire time we're like, okay, like we need, Colson to come up the bat, put people on base. Colson hit a home run. We'll win. Great. Awesome. Bryson was first up the bat. He hit a solo shot. I come up the bat, hit another solo shot. And it felt really cool because it was in front of I think Coach Rogers watched it. I know Ricky watched it. That was cool. So then I'm rounding first base, obviously having some choice words towards Keith and Noah and all those guys. Like I got to flex a little bit. Like I've gone deep like 4 times already today, but we ended up winning both games. My team's 2-0. I will say that my team was 100% the best team. And then I want to throw my name in the hat for like MVP race of that little activity. But actually Ricky, like our GM, came up to me yesterday and he was like, I didn't know you were Jose Canseco. And I was like, I don't have to do steroids, but I do hit bombs. Like I played pretty well. So
That's awesome.
it was a really fun time. And hopefully we do it again sometime soon because I need to put on another like 4 or 5 home run performance. That'd be great.
That's amazing. Final question. It sounds like you watched some of my Mariners content. You're a big Mariners fan.
Oh
What
yeah.
What are your hot takes on the Mariners this year? And they just hit 500 for the first time since April 18th. So
yeah, I'm honestly disappointed. I mean, I don't know how many games above 500 we were. I mean, just like a month ago.
it was 8.
But yeah, we were, 8 games ahead. Like, I mean, we should be a top team. We really should be. And this might be a hot take. I don't love like our manager hire. I think Dan Wilson's awesome. I think he's a great guy. As like a totally unexperienced, manager of like a ball club, like he's already like taken blame for losing a couple of games for the Mariners already because of like his own decisions or what he's done out there like personnel wise. But I mean, when you have somebody like Cal Raleigh who's putting up like MVP historical stats, you gotta be competing at least a little bit better. And I know we're banged up, especially like on our starting rotation. And I know we're putting guys out there. Like I think Ben Williamson's been doing like a pretty solid job at third base. I mean, he's giving me flashbacks of like a young Kyle Seager on the hot corner. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. And then, I'm looking forward to like the next couple series, and I'm gonna try my best to get out to a game in July. I think when they play the Royals, I want to get out there and hopefully watch a game, and maybe I'll try to give them some tips on like how we should win more games. But
there's the WSU alumni game out there. I don't know if you're planning to go out for that. It's in July, but it's the WSU alumni night. You get like a cute jacket with it.
July 19th. No, we're in Pullman then. I can't. Shoot. It's a total bummer, but I mean, that's just football for you. You kind of
Yeah.
just get to pick and you kind of just, get whatever hand you're dealt and see what days you'll be home and be free. But yeah, I think my date might be July 2nd for the Royals series, which would be cool. I mean, hopefully like Bobby Witt stays healthy and, he's playing because that'd be fun to watch. And hopefully the Mariners like actually have a little upkick because every Mariners season is exactly the same. There's, your highs and lows. It always starts like really, really high. Everything's great. And then you go like on a 20-game skid. And then like, you get kind of like more in like the middle of the summer, you get like 5-10 games in a row, and then you kind of get kicked back down. And then every year without fail, basically since I've been born, which has been the last like 2.5 weeks of the season, it's like, okay, we're like 2-3 games back. Like we just got to, stack a couple good series together and we're in. And then we lose out by like a game. Or we lose out by like half the game. And it's usually to the Astros, which I hate the Astros too. That's another one of those teams where I can say the H word. It's
completely
Astros, probably 49ers, and then the Huskies. So, but yeah, we have to do something at the trade deadline, I think, at least I want another bat personally. And I think our acquisitions in the offseason were good. Like Rowdy has been putting up like a surprisingly decent, like, little stretch of games. He's been hitting pretty decently. And so, I mean, I think we need like a guy. We need one guy to go out there, hit in the middle of the lineup and kind of give us a little boost. Just, I don't know. I'm not going to get my hopes up because I always get let down, but I mean, we'll see what happens.
It keeps you, you got your adrenaline going pretty much the entire year, for better or worse. It's like you're either super happy or you're super down, but there's always something to talk about with the Mariners. But Colson, really appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, talking some football, some baseball, and looking forward to seeing you out there this fall.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.